Hey, welcome to another episode of Ask a Photo Pro with me, Carty. Today we're talking about the 25 things. There's probably going to be more than 25 things, but at least the 25 things that I go through before every single time I'm doing a client photo shoot. I think it's super necessary to actually be hyper aware of the things that you need to pack, the things that you need to bring before you shoot. Let's adjust this exposure a little bit. It's important to know exactly every single one of the things that's on this list, and I do this every time. It's super important for you to do this every time as well. So we're gonna start at the top. I mean, today I've been making some notes, but should we do notes today? Should we do notes today? Maybe we do some notes today, because again, I think that you guys are visual people, and there are 25 things, so if I'll make notes, maybe you guys will make notes as well. By the way, I'm Carty. If you don't know who I am, I'm a professional photographer. I help photographers like you transition from your 9-to-5 life that you might hate to the life of a working professional photographer. I've been doing this for 33 years, so a minute. I photographed people: Kanye, Colin Firth, Tom York from Radiohead, Sandra Oh, Michael Sheen, Kanye. Like, did I say Kanye? Like, I photographed a lot of people. Have a look at my website. The link is in the description. If you are curious as to who is talking and who you're listening to. So, the 25 things. 20. Oops, let's make sure that I'm not on. Oh, my pen can't be dead. My pen can't be dead. We can't do this 2 days in a row. It's definitely not connected. But there are 25 things that I do before every single. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's not dead. All right, I got it back. All right, let's get into it. I knew it wouldn't take but a second. All right, 25 things I do every client shoot. All right, so 25 things that I do before every single client shoot. Let's start at the start. Number one, the consult. Every time you're doing a job, it's important to have an in-depth consultation with who you're shooting or the client that you're working for. You have to understand their vision, their preferences, their objectives. You have no idea how crucial it is to go hyper detailed here. Understand, you need to know their vision, their preferences, and their objectives. It's not just a formality. It sets the foundation for everything else that we're going to be doing today, everything else we're going to be talking about. It sets the foundation for a successful shoot. When you understand what the client actually wants, you can tailor every aspect of the session to meet their expectations, ensuring that you're all on the same page from the get-go. So that first initial consultation is incredibly important. The second thing that I do is I create mood boards. And this is something that I recommend everybody does after that first consultation. Create mood boards so you can basically visually articulate what you think that the client needs. And this is, you're not going to have the work exactly. You're not going to have shot the work that they need to see. You wouldn't have shot it already. So this is when you go to Behance. You go to Behance and find visual references for the type of photography that you've been asked to shoot. So if you are being asked to shoot location photography portrait, and you can see it just showed up there. Oh my goodness, my fingers. Location, photography, portraits, and you search photography, location, portraits, And then under creative fields, you search photography. And then see, like, find inspiration and start looking at, okay, is this light that I like? Is this something that works for me? Like, start finding photographers that inspire. Woo, got to fast forward past that one. Woo, I can't really go into that. So you put together a mood board. Why don't we try this one? Car photography. So now you're able to tailor a car photography portfolio that is engaging, inspiring. And again, it's not your work, it's someone else's work, but you're putting it together and you're putting together moods. That's the whole idea for this, is you're getting ideas. You're using intelligent imitation to get the coolest ideas that you can find, so you can then show your client, so you can execute ideas along the same line as your mood board. Like, references are so important before a shoot. I gather all the visual references. And again, it's not just about putting together pretty pictures. It's about setting the tone and making sure that everybody who's involved, the clients, the models, the makeup, everybody knows the exact vibe that we're aiming for. You're creating a visual blueprint, and that keeps the shoot completely focused and cohesive. So how I find these references, as again, I mentioned going on Behance, but I also have so many photographer websites that I look at, and every time you find a photographer that blows you away, anytime that you find a photographer that blows you away, and by the way, I'm going to show you how insane my photography bookmarks are. This is all photography website bookmarks. All of this, and it never ends. Like, it goes that far. So let's just pull out Lado Alexi when it comes to some visual inspiration. Like, Lado Alexi is banana pudding. So I save all of these incredible websites, and like, it just helps visual reference. It also helps like show you what the industry standard website looks like. But as far as the visual reference, find photographers' websites and photography that is at such a level, it just makes you want to put your camera down and use that for a place that you start. Like, look at Lado Alexi. Like, this photographer is phenomenal. Like, just phenomenal. One of my favorite fashion shooters to look at. Like, really high art, high frequency, just incredible photography. So know your sources. Make a directory of all kinds of insane photographers. Here's another one that's on my list. Jeff Lipsky. I love shooting natural light. So when you look at Jeff Lipsky's work, you see like this guy shoots so many covers and so many, I mean, not that, but so many editorial, like this is natural light. That is not natural light. That's studio light outside. Natural light, studio light outside, natural light. So you see this shooter, like he really blends, like, how do you say it? Like a couple of different styles. Look at this natural light, Kevin Hart. So I really like looking at these type of shooters. So this is where your references come from. It's finding creatives that inspire, so you can actually, okay, this is the bar. These are working pros, the kind of pros that I want to be. So you look at only the work of pros that you want to be. Like Jeff Lipsky. I want to be Jeff Lipsky. So I look at Jeff Lipsky all the time. You know, he's like LA superstar. He's one of my favorites. Like, just such a no BS approach to making photos. I really like him. And you can see his work sells because look at all the covers that he shoots. And lifestyle, that thing that I tried to describe, like, this is one of the most important skill sets to learn how to shoot. And I will define it as regular people doing regular things photographed in a stylized way. That is lifestyle photography. And you have to learn how to shoot it. If you're a people shooter and you don't know how to shoot lifestyle photography in an editorial magazine way, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Because Lipsky, look at this girl in the foreground. Lipsky shoots like, this guy shoots lifestyle like a rock star. Just look at this girl in the foreground. Look at the sprinkles on her nose. Look at the eye contact from this girl and this swaggy guy not paying attention. The hand, how the hand leads you back in, the ripped jeans, like the menu, and this really poppy green, the backlighting, like all of this is just, it's beautiful imagery, but you have to realize, like, this is all set up. This is all set up to look like they're nothing pictures. Like, this is an art. Learning how to shoot lifestyle. And again, I talk about it often. All right. So, references. That's number 2. Or number 3, my bad. Number 3. Too many pens here, guys. I'm telling you, too many pens. So, number 3 is finding references. And like, save websites, man. Save websites. I save so many websites. Like, my bookmarks are gold. I should start selling them. So the next thing is I location scout. Like, people don't understand, like, I'm always location scouting. Always. And I'm going to tell you how I do it. I'm always location scouting, and I do it with this incredible device that we all have in our pocket. It's called an iPhone. And what we can do with these iPhones is we can take a picture of a location, and then it geotags the photo. Like, it actually puts the photo on a map. And you have this thing, it's called Places. And you click Places, and then all over the world where you've shot photos, it shows, like, look at all the places that I've been around North America. And then if you zoom in on your exact location, it shows you more photos. Oops, that's not my exact location. We're over here. Shows you more photos. And then if you deep dive even more, it starts showing you exact locations. Like, this is where, like, now you have, focus, buddy. Now you have all of your insane spots on a map. So you can go back to any cool location and say, oh, that's where that wall was. Oh my goodness, this park. Look at all the great shots that I shot in that park. So I use my phone to location scout. And then after a while, when you live in a city, your locations look like this. They start looking like this. Like it's like this is what your locations start to look like. So shooting with your phone, there's a reason for it. It geotags your photos and you can go back to that sick location after the fact. So be crazy with your location scouting. Like I always try to visit potential locations beforehand. I go beforehand so I see what the light looks like at the time of day that I'm about to do that session. So if I have a session and it's like a 9 to 5 and I'm shooting part in the studio and part on location, well, I shoot in the studio in the morning because it's going to cross past noon when the sun's super high. And then after lunch, we shoot on location. Takes time to get to the location, takes time to reset hair, makeup, styling. And then you start shooting in the afternoon around 3. You know, so depending on the time of the year, obviously. So I go to the studio or go to the location beforehand and shoot what that location and what the light looks like the day before. So, but you can't really do that without number 5, which is checking the weather. Oh, come on. I am the weatherman. Like literally, I've been called the weatherman because I'm a rider. I ride bikes, right? So because I ride bikes and I also organize these massive rides with like sometimes up to 50 riders, you really have to know how to predict the weather and know like, and also I've been a photographer for 33 years. So it's funny. I deduce it with being outside on my bike, but no, for reals, like I can just look at clouds. Like today, it's rained like 4 or 5 times and my dog was outside. My dog's right here right now. And I'm like, buddy, you need to come inside. It's going to rain in 5 minutes. And literally 5 minutes, starts raining. So I don't know. I've been called a weatherman because I'm really good at reading the sky and reading the clouds. But when it comes to like not being great at the weather, you have to use 3 apps. I use 3 apps. Because you can't just trust the native app on your phone for weather. You also have to like go to the weather network and then another like competing weather app. And then you look at the satellite picture. Now you can't analyze the weather at that depth a week before. You can do weather at that depth the day before or 2 days before, but it depends on where you live. Where I live, where it's sun, rain, like I don't live in California where it's the same every day, or Florida where it's the same every day. But if you do live in one of these places that are in the northern part of America, if you're in the UK, if you're in Canada, you know you actually have to check the weather. So I use a satellite app so I can see the cloud cover and where the clouds are coming from so I can predict the rain. And I use 2 weather apps to see the percentages that are happening on either side. I don't usually cancel shoots unless it's full rain because overcast is one of my favorite times to shoot. So if it's an overcast day, I can get great photography. I don't stress about an overcast day because I don't shoot where the sun is. I shoot where the sun isn't. My worst kind of day is mixed sun and cloud, a partly cloudy day where the sun's in, the sun's out, sun's in, sun's out. Like that makes me crazy. So check the weather. That's like mental, obviously. The next thing, permits and permission. Now, where are you shooting? Are you shooting in a studio? No problem. No problem. You just get a studio. No problem. But are you shooting on location? Whoo, how you doing it? Where are you doing it? Is this someone's property? Could someone come out and stop you from shooting there? What if you have a tripod? What if you have crew? Like, oftentimes we need to have permission to shoot in certain locations. What if it's a restaurant that you're trying to, like, you can't just pull out gear and shoot. So work on figuring out the necessary permission that you need to shoot anywhere that you might be thinking about shooting. So if you're shooting on location, 9 out of 10 times you can do run and gun. I'm the king of run and gun, which is just set up, start shooting. You know what I mean? If it's like most places you can just do that. But When it's someone's property, it starts to be like, if it's a mall, if it's like something like that somebody owns, a business, like much different. So make sure you scope out permits and permissions, permits if necessary and permission if necessary when it comes to choosing your locations. You'd be surprised how much and how often that gets overlooked. Like many places in Toronto, you can just get a permit and then you can go crazy. And the permit's $30. So make sure you figure out all necessary permits and permissions in advance. And if you need to contact any local authorities, property owners, organizations, just to avoid legal issues or interruptions during the shoot, be proactive to ensure a smooth and hassle-free experience. Because if you don't, you might get booted from a spot that you're trying to actually do some high art in. So the next thing is equipment check. Now, I thought maybe I'd pull out my gear, but I just have too much. I have too much. So I'm not pulling out my gear. I like keeping my office nice. So equipment check. And I'm insane when it comes to how much gear that I have and how much gear that I bring on a photo shoot, because the thing that I don't bring is the thing I'll want. So I have 7 lenses. Actually, I have 8 lenses. I have 6 of them that I use. So I'll bring 6 lenses, even if I know I'll only shoot with 2, maybe 3. But if I only bring 2, I get really upset because I'll have an idea and I won't have the lens for it. So I bring everything. Next thing, imagine going on a shoot and finding out that something's not working. Like imagine to find out something that doesn't work. So I meticulously check and clean all my gear before every shoot. That includes my cameras, my lenses. I check my lighting equipment. I check all my accessories, and I make sure that everything is working and ready to go and ready for a smooth operation. Batteries, chargers, grip equipment, triggers. Like I bring like 7 bags to a photo shoot. So you can just imagine how many things that I'm trying to chase. Also, I pack my bags so specifically that I can open my bag and glance at it and know everything's in there. Like so specifically. Also, I can pick up my bag and go, something's not in there. And I'll open it and be like, there's no chargers. Like the weight of a charger, I'll know is not in my bag. Like that's how OCD I am. Like I'll pick up my bag and I'll be like, camera body's not in there. Obviously, because that's like 2 pounds lighter. Something's missing. So like my lights, the way I pack my lights, I have 2 heads that are a mirror. Like it's the same head twice. That's for my rear lights. Those lights, I put my triggers, I put my grids, and I also put gels in that bag. So if I'm shooting with one bag, if I need 1 light, I bring 2 lights if I need 1. My other bag has only 1 head in it, and that's it. There's nothing except for a head, a reflector, and like a cord. So that is when I need my full set, I bring that bag as well. That bag feels like there's nothing in it. But if you don't pack my bag exactly the way that I pack my bag, you'll put that head in my other bag, and then I won't have mirrored heads. I'll have to it's a whole thing. And again, I pick up my light bag, I touch the side, and I'm like, everything's in there. So I'm insane with equipment checks beforehand. I shoot with a grip on my camera, especially when I'm doing photography. When I'm shooting video, I don't use a grip on my camera. But when I'm shooting stills, I shoot with a grip. And I go with 2 charged batteries in the body and 2 charged batteries back and 2 chargers. So I have 2 batteries on the charger, and like I can just pull them out, take the 2 fresh ones, put them in, take those 2, put them on the charger. And it's just like a system. So I have 4 batteries. Like you can't just have 1 battery. And if you're doing full days, you can't shoot without a grip. Like if you're shooting vertical, can't shoot without a grip. Like there's so many different things when it comes to full working days as a pro. Like, you have no idea. So Anyways, I pack my bags insanely. Light stands, reflector, like all my modifiers, like clamps, like everything, tape, like everything that I need. It's like insane. I don't just walk into a studio and expect everything's going to be there. Even if I'm going to a studio that has lights, I bring my own. I bring all my own stuff because you never know what you're going to get when you're shooting in a rental studio. So, backup gear. That's the next thing. Backup gear. For years, backup gear. For years, I had a second camera body in my bag. Second camera body for years. And it's like just recently, like I have an R5. It's having two R5s. It's expensive, but I want a second R5. But I wanted to see what the R5 Mark II was going to be all about and see if that was worth all the hullabaloo. But I want two bodies just because I want one for video, one for stills, but then buy an R5C. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I need two bodies. Like that's kind of the need right now. Right now I have three bodies, but the other ones are lower end Canon APS-C small sensors. But yeah, so backup gear. So my pro tip, backup equipment. I used to bring a backup body. If you have a backup body, bring it. But what I do is I have assistants. So my assistants, like when Luis assists me, he has an R5. When Jay assists me, he has an RP. Like someone's got bodies and lenses. Like there's always, I say bring your camera back because they're shooting behind the scenes. They're document. So it's like there's always extra bodies. Like it's not even a thing. It's like a second R5 is in an ideal situation. I have two of those, but right now I don't. But always extra lenses, always multiple batteries, always multiple memory cards. And I split up my data. I don't put my whole shoot on one memory card. I like to I protect myself. Like I'll shoot tethered, so the stuff's going to the computer on a drive, but it's also on a memory card. Like I just protect myself throughout the whole process. If something goes wrong, I'm prepared, honestly. And if you set up this way, anything that goes wrong, the shoot can continue without a hitch. You know what I mean? It's all about being prepared for the unexpected to make sure that nothing can happen to derail the session. Like I even had it set up like I could get hit by lightning and Jay could finish my shoots. So like if he had to, like that's the kind of assistant that I have. Here's the one that's going to blow you away. Test shots. Imagine that. No, I'm going to take it to another level when it comes to test shots. I'm going to take it to another level when it comes to test shots. I'm going to tell you what Jamil Shabazz does. Imagine taking test shots to check the lighting, composition, camera settings. Obviously, it's like a dress rehearsal to ensure that everything is in place and ready. So I do this before the model is on set. Like I shoot my assistant like I'm shooting the model. I do everything, light tweaks, and I make it so perfect before the model or the subject is on set. And when the subject now is on set, all I need to do is sit there, and it's just, I can start directing them and get right into working. But I'm going to tell you what Jamil Shabazz does. Jamil Shabazz, the day before or a couple of days before, like say he's shooting Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats, like he'll hire a model that's the same height and weight and skin tone as Alicia Keys, and a male model that is the same height, weight, and skin tone as Swiss Beats. And then he'll bring them on set and he'll do a full photo shoot with stand-ins, and he'll pose them and all that stuff. Then he shows that whole shoot to the client, and the client is like, oh my God, I love that pose. I love that pose. I love this light. I love this feeling. And then the day of the shoot, Shabazz only does that. And he finishes the session in like an hour. Like he only needs to shoot a pre-approved ideas because he's done the shoot already. They're basically seeing, and then the subjects that come in, he shoots tethered. The clients see the stuff on the monitor. It's exactly what they agreed to, what they love. And then he has time to photograph every single person who's on set, because the shoot ends up happening so quickly. He can shoot the caterer, the makeup artist, the client. Like, he shoots portraits of everybody. And I just think that, like, it's such a great, memorable thing to do after a shoot. So test shots at the highest level. That's, I mean, I never test with my model. I test with my assistant. Like, my model, I'm not practicing on her or the subject. I'm practicing on my assistant. And if you're really smart, you're doing it the day before. So you have it like totally locked in, or a couple days before. All right. So the next thing, part of this whole thing is creating a lighting plan. Yo, Stephanos, with the generosity, yo. Stephanos has just gifted a membership to Walt Rascal. Walt, you just got gifted, bro. I just blasted my dog with a bunch of smoke. Buddy, don't be mad at me. But he's chilling. He didn't even move. So funny. Yeah, he's down there. He's right down there. Thank you, Stephanos. It's very, very, very generous of you, my guy, with the gifted. Thank you. Hey, put that up on my screen, bro. Why is that not working? Apologies for that. Yeah, that worked. Okay. Anyways, Stephanos, thank you. All right, so let's talk about lighting plan. I map out my light, and I mean, I've been doing this for a really long time, so I have an understanding of light. Obviously, these two go hand in hand, but you have to map out your light. Like, you can't go into a scenario without having like a concept of what your light is going to look like. Like, I can map out light from any photograph just from looking at it. And the more experience that you get with lighting, the more you'll be able to do it as well. This is an incredibly oops, that's not the right thing that I'm showing you. This was an incredibly complicated lighting setup. I did this in Winnipeg, meaning I'm on a trip. I'm not home. I had to fly to shoot this. I'm shooting this on set, basically. And I created two different white setups. One was like I can show you actually how I did this. I need to use a different tablet, but I had two different white setups. One was bigger than the other. So you can imagine in the studio, it was a huge room. There was a stage here. So it's a huge room like this. There was like a fake wall here, and like the train that they were filming train sets over here. So what I did was I built two sets. I built a 9-foot seamless set here that I shot these portraits at. And then over here, I built a 12-foot seamless set for the group shots. That never happened. We never did group shots. And funny enough, I was shooting this that way and that way. So I had two different sets built so I could jump between these two sets. Jason left this cross pole in Winnipeg, by the way. I still remember Warbucks. I'll never forget. Just kidding. Okay, so this light here, this is the background. This is my subject right here. He's off the background roughly 4 feet. And I have one light here. I have one light here. These lights are raw, meaning just the reflector with no softbox or modification. It's just raw light. This is the center point. I hit this light here. I hit this light here. And then I get F22, F22, 22 across the back. So that gives me a perfect white. I'm just giving you like little lighting 101. And also lighting diagrams, because that's what I do. I mapped out this light beforehand. So I know I'm shooting dark skin, and I want this highlight to come over here. Like I want to have this beautiful highlight that you see here on the skin, but I also want a dark shadow here. So I had to create that. Like this, I used flags and gobos. So I've showed you now how I've done the rear light. So you imagine there's a light here, there's a light here. My subject is in front, roughly here, and I built flags to block the light from pushing onto this. Okay, but I pushed him back far enough that it would leave a little highlight. So that's the first thing. Then I get the perfect marker. Then my front light, I have one Rembrandt light coming, from, my goodness. I have a Rembrandt light coming from here-ish, and that's on a grid. So it's putting like a narrow kick of light, because you can notice it's darker down here than it is actually on his face, because I wanted some drama in that main light. But I also have a blocker like here that's blocking some light from going down here. So that blocker is shaped like this way. And then I have another like mini reflector in here, kicking in just a little bit more light in here. So it was a 3 light setup with like flags and blockers and gobos. And I brought all this stuff. For this session. But when you see how it's used, like they made a composite. So they basically close cropped all of my images and put together this group shot, because we ran out of time. We actually ran out of time to shoot these people in groups of like 2s and 3s, which was the goal. But still it ended up working. The light ended up being inspired, and client was thrilled. But every one of these, there's like a lighting map. And I think it's important for you to understand that, like, when you start mapping out light, like this 3 light, this is like a 2 light gelled setup. Like this one, this is the background. This is my subject. Back here, I have one head with a grid aiming behind him that's putting this, and it has also a red gel on it. And then in the front, on this side, also quite high because you can see his nose shadow. Over here, I'm pushing in another light this way through a grid, but I have a blue gel in front of this one, but only in front of half the light. So I didn't cover the whole light, so it let out some white light down there, but made his face blue. So all of these executions just come from, like, once you start understanding light and being able to map it, it's like, this is another thing that pros do before every single shoot, is actually plan your light. Like, I'm a psycho when it comes to how detailed and nuanced I want to be with my light. However simple, it has to have polish. And in order to have polish, like, it helps to find inspiration, map out that inspiration, and then use a little bit of intelligent imitation in order to, like, add to what you would typically do with light without going too far. So the next thing that is always considered, is wardrobe and props. Like, what are you wearing, girl? Wardrobe and props. Like, I do not let anybody come to my spot, come to a photo shoot without seeing everything that you think that you're going to bring or think that you're going to wear on my sets. And this is me. No. Oh, that's okay. No. What else do you have? Have you ever thought about doing some shopping? When was the last time you shopped? Like, that's what I'll have to say if someone is like, I don't have a budget for a stylist, because you just call a stylist and the stylist gets the measurements, looks at the mood board, and then goes and pulls clothes based exactly on your mood board to the girl's size. And the girl's like, oh my God, these clothes, they're brand new and they look like they're mine. And it's like, yeah, because they're from a designer and like, we know your sizes. So I have teams who fit you. You know what I mean? And make you look hyper stylish. Like, let's just look at some examples of styling. Like, look at some examples of styling. Like when you work with a stylist, like when you work with makeup, hair, and styling. Like, this is the result when you work with styling. Like, it's on a different level when you work with styling. Look, from the shoes to the pants to, I mean, this is for a clothing brand, so obviously the styling has to be tight. But stylist, look at the styling. He's got a fur and he's got a fox on his head. Are you kidding me? From the shoes to the all white to the watch to the axe. Like, we made this axe. I just took this from like a regular hatchet and like we turned this into a prop. Like, propping, styling. It's so important. I mean, when I shoot for the Great Canadian Baking Show, like, it's actually, we're shooting this in the kitchen that they film the show. So all the props are there, but he's wearing the apron with his name on it. And look at the no reflection in the glasses and how like I shoot in such a way that like I'm insane when it comes to detail. And like, when there's no styling, this is the kind of work that I make when there's no stylist. I'll shoot bare shoulders and just clean beauty when I have a makeup artist and no stylist. And this is for a skincare brand, so no styling, you know? But this stylist, there's a stylist who dressed him in that outfit in order to like execute this and it be the right tone. And yeah, stylists dressed all four of these band members because they didn't have great style. A stylist dressed them. The guy back here, he had the best style, but everybody else, we dressed them. So wardrobe and propping, you have to understand how important wardrobe and propping is when it comes to these photo shoots. Stylist got the leather jackets, got the shirts, got the jeans, and they brought their own shoes. Stylist. Walt, there's many different ways to light without seeing the reflection in the glasses. You'll notice that the eye line of where the light is, his head angle, it's like you don't light directly at lens level. You're always lighting with the light higher than your camera lens. It's going to be out of the frame if you're doing that. I'm also using front butterfly lighting for him. And you can see the catch light in his eyes. Like, no reflection, super even, but you also see the highlight of light that I'm kicking over both shoulders. Like, I actually did that highlight, like that you see right here. This is my light that I pulled in from the background. And if you see the wider shot of this Great Canadian Baking Show, my goodness, look at the time. I got to get going here with this details. If you look here, you'll see I have a studio light back here and I have a studio light back here. So I have two different lights kicking in. Like, this is an incredibly complicated lighting setup, like incredibly complicated. So again, we're talking about wardrobe and props, but I'm hyper detailed, and it's like with everything, like Nike shoes, Nike track jacket, Nike track pants, like there's no cross branding or any, like all white. Like the styling is the thing that is making like the photography not look as good as it could, because people don't pay attention enough to the styling. And like this is part of what I do. It's part of what I do, is having an understanding of style and sensibility. And like you can do this. Like I'm convinced that you can do this. You just have to have the confidence to kind of push people into the realm of like being themselves a little bit more. Like you can nudge people in it, but like I want you to look at the color combinations. I want you to look at the blue hat, blue shirt against the red, like the rainbow colors in here, like all of these little nuanced things that are all part of styling. And I don't think that enough people realize, like, that's why my photos look so professional, is because I don't let anything slip. Like everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. You can do it too. So that's wardrobe and props. Like you can't miss a beat when it comes to what your people are wearing and what they're holding. Never underestimate the power of the right outfit or prop. Coordinate with a stylist, make sure that everything fits, the vision. Talk about themes, colors, style. You'll notice not a lot of radical patterns in my work. Like I'm hyper specific about, I don't shoot patterns, I don't shoot like just trendy things, I shoot classic things. Like classic wardrobe pieces can last in your portfolio longer than trendy fast fashion, you know? Color can make images pop, like mood boards. And it all goes back to mood boards. You can look at a mood board and say, you see this model's style, that's what we're trying to capture. And it all goes back to like model and talent preparation. Like you have to prep your talent. And I do this in so many different ways. I'm doing it with you right now. I'm talking you through like everything that I go through before a photo shoot. And communication. I communicate super concisely. So I'll guide the models, the talent, wardrobe, styling, what to do and what to expect. I mean, I share the mood board. I explain my vision and I provide exact direction. And that preparation makes everybody feel confident and comfortable, which makes the shoot better. It makes the photography more natural. And I guide everybody. Like you've watched my videos of me in the studio. I'm like, that lip color. No. Like I'm picking outfits, me, heterosexual dude who's in my, like, yes, I'm the one. Like bring me a rack of clothes. I will pick the 4 outfits that go on the cover. Like it's always up to the photographer. So you got to prep the talent and have them in the right headspace. That comes from you sharing your mood boards and sharing your vision. And that leads us beautifully into your shot list. Like from your mood board, you pull your most desirable shots from the mood board, stuff that you'd like to try to give your attempts at doing your version of. Like your shot list can look like, okay, we're shooting a cover and we're shooting 3 times. We're shooting a double page spread and we're shooting that 3 times. We're shooting full length and we're shooting that 3 times. And we're going to need a location for each one of these, but the location has to, like, it has to link through these. Like, it has to make sense. So you create a shot list of like what you're looking to achieve. And then in every look, you just go to your phone and be like, oh my God, we don't have this shot yet. We don't have this cover yet. We don't have this idea yet. Like, you're basically like, you're shooting almost to a checklist. Once you like, I have like a mathematical approach to my photography. I know it seems like not very artistic, but I gotta tell you, man, like, if you don't have a mathematical approach to how you work creatively, you will not be able to do it on demand. I can do it on demand. Like, literally turn the switch. I'm working on Thursday. Okay, we're working on it. Just flip the switch. And it's like mathematical. All the questions that I ask, all the things that I need to go like, and it's like, you learn that from reps. Like, you actually learn that from reps. Okay, so we go on. Posing guide. Like, how many of you guys have heard me say, don't touch your face? Like, I'm insane when it comes to the things that I let my models and my subjects do. So understand this. You need to direct because your people need direction. And if you're not a good director or a good poser, it's because you're not looking at the right references. Honestly, when was the last time you looked at Vogue? When was the last time you looked at Vanity Fair? When was the last time? Seriously. Because if you haven't looked at Vogue, or if you haven't looked at Vanity Fair, or you haven't looked at Details, or you haven't looked at GQ this year, then you have your models doing things like this. Because you don't know what's actually happening in contemporary culture. You don't know what's happening in images in contemporary culture. So therefore, you just tell them to do something that you think looks cool. But guess what? You don't know what looks cool because you don't fill your eyes with cool shit. Simple. Fill your eyes with Italian Vogue. Fill your eyes with French Vogue. Fill your eyes, British Vogue, Marie Claire, The Face, Fader. Like, look at the people who will hire you. Don't look at other photographers. Look at the culture where your work will go. Magazines, advertisements. The ones that stop you dead, those ads, those editorials. If you're not looking at editorials, then you don't even know, like, how are you going to be a photographer if you're not looking at magazines? Seriously. Like, if you're not spending, I used to spend weeks in magazine stores, weeks. I would go there for like 8 hours and I would photograph mastheads. Like, I would take a picture of everybody who worked at the magazine and I would take a picture of that page, like literally. Or before there was camera phones, I would manually write out art director, Anton, blah, blah, blah. And like the phone, like, and then I would absorb all the magazines that I could, and I could always afford to buy like 1 or 2 as a struggling photographer. I could afford to buy like 2 magazines, and then those magazines, I would rip them apart, dissect them, lay them out on the floor. Like, this was like my imagined portfolio. And that's where I would map out light. And it's like, that's how you learn how to direct models. That's how you, like, well, how do I learn? It's like, you got to do the work. And the work comes from the research and the reps. The research and the reps. Like, do the research and then do the reps. And like, watch people. Learn how to watch people and see how they move naturally. And then like, try to cue people how to move naturally. Not do like all these insane, like very silly poses that I see photographers making models do. Like, turn your leg in and twist this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, Wow, bro. Wow. Okay. Unless you're working with a model who knows how to do that, like Coco Rocha or like some like Devanshu, one of my viewers in Australia, like he just did an amazing shoot and put out like a little behind the scenes video showing this girl, and this girl was a mover and she was doing all of that stuff, but it looked sick. It looked sick. Not everybody can do that, and it looks sick. Sometimes it looks like their body's broken. And if you think that it looks sick because you don't have the visual references or the guide, you're going to be like, that looks amazing. Or worse still, you're going to just let your person who calls themselves a model just do whatever they think is cool. And you're just going to be like, because you don't have the confidence to direct them. So posing is the bane of so many photographers' existence, man. But if you do not know how to direct people because they need your direction, they need it so badly, the only way to do it is to find references. So go on Behance, go to a magazine store, like do whatever you need to do to find those references, because even a guy, a man, a businessman, a corporate guy, like they're all going to say, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And if you're like, I don't know, just like, come on, sit there. This is what I say to a businessman, an executive. Sit down, legs wide. Put your hands on both sides of your hips like this and lean to camera like this. And then I'll give them this one too. Like now, rotate, put this elbow on this front knee. Like you start moving them. Do like Irving Penn with the legs crossed, arms like this. Like start posing them and putting like, but you can't do that without references. So everybody needs that. Number 15. We got 10 more to go. 15, timeline. Timeline. Like, what's the schedule here? Like, meaning, when's the shoot and when's it due? What's happening during the shoot? Like, what's the call time? What's the call time? Are we breaking for lunch? How many people? Like, how many outfits? What do we, like, what's the flow of the day? What's the flow of the day? Like, how long does it take to set up? Are there breaks? Like, you have to keep the day completely organized. Like, completely organized. And again, I'll say I'm insane. And I'm so insane that I actually built a call sheet. And like, call sheets suck. So I made the most insane call sheet ever. Put up here, this is where you put your own masthead and client, photo shoot for, blah, 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 client title, photo shoot description, blah, 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 weather expectations, blah, 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 for your location, emergency contact numbers, crew schedule. This is the flow of the day. This is all your talent. This is all my talent, okay? This is the people who are on my team. This is the location address. This is parking. Food, you can pick up food here, here, here. You can order food to our location from here. Special instructions. And this is your mood board, where you fill out your mood board and also your own personal web links and all that stuff. So this is what I do. This is my call sheet. And I just basically have made it available for you if you want to buy it. It's on the Carty method. So I'm insane with timelines and flow. And then after, like, how fast I deliver the shots, I deliver them within 48 hours. You get like usually the next day. It depends on how busy I am, but usually the next day within 48 hours, you get like basically the shots that now you can look through, and I now start to communicate. And also I'm now using Indie to migrate and share my work with these people. If you're running a photography business, especially if you're doing that and juggling photo shoots, I've got something that might be a game changer for you. It's called Indie, and trust me, it's like having a personal business assistant, only it's affordable. First off, imagine creating eye-catching project proposals super easily. Indie helps you do that so you can impress your clients and get more gigs. Plus, there's these ready-to-go contracts which are a breeze to sign thanks to electronic signatures. No more paperwork headaches. Then there's the task management part. You know how you have to keep track of a million things? Indie has a great to-do list and digital tools that let you visualize your work and keep everything super organized. It's really helpful. Invoicing, Indie's got you covered. Send out professional invoices and estimates and let your clients pay through options like PayPal, Stripe, Zelle, and even pay you by check if they need to. Working closely with clients, Indie has a cool client portal where you can chat, share files, and keep everybody in the loop. It's like your project command center. You don't need to use Google Drive. For those of you who are still billing by the hour, there's a time tracker that logs how much time you're spending on each project. Talk about making life easier. And then there's extras like file storage for your photos, customizable forms for all your client interactions, and a calendar that gives you a bird's eye view of your schedule. Here's the kicker. With my promo code CARTY35, you can get 35% off your first year of Indie's Pro plan, which works out to be about $7.80 a month if you go monthly, and an even better deal of $5.85 a month if you pay annually. It's $5.85. So if you want to focus more on the creative side of your business and less on that stuff that you don't like doing that much, Indie is your go-to. Click the link in the video description, use my code CARTY35, and watch the magic happen. Give it a go. See how it works for you and watch how it transforms your business. Thanks so much. So the communication plan, what's up, buddy? How's it going? No one can see you here. Hello, Tempo. Hello. You can't see him. He's right here. Look, there's his nostrils. Hey, buddy. What do you need? Oh, he just wants love. So the communication plan. Clear communication. I'm a communicator, and I like being very vocal about all the things that I need to happen. Like from my team, I outline everybody's roles, everybody's responsibility, and it ensures like a super cohesive and productive shoot. I make sure everybody is on the same page, and I let everybody know what's expected of them. And it leads to a more harmonious and successful workflow. And I have to tell you, my expectations are high on my sessions. Like my shoots are not the day that you're off. That's the day that you're up on your A game when you shoot with me. Because it's like, I'm just one of those shooters. Nobody mails it in with me. Like hair, makeup, styling, models, assistants, everybody has to be like 100% on the right page, man. So communication, be insane with your communication. You see how clearly I communicate, how I try to be super concise when I'm delivering this information. You also be super concise when you're talking about anything related to working with you, and it starts having people associate you with this word that I love to hear, professionalism. Like people tell me, you're so professional. It's like, yeah, like obviously, like you're so professional. It's like, yeah, obviously I've been doing this for 3.5 decades. Obviously it's going to be professional. So communicate, be super clear, and like master that, because it's going to make you money. Like communication equals dollars. 17 is the technical stuff. Like the technical prep is, it runs deep, eh? Like you heard me talk about lighting, but like the camera prep, your ISO, your aperture, your shutter speed based on the shoot requirements, your lighting conditions, consistency, your white balance, like before every new idea, how is the shoot flowing from idea to idea? Does the tone look the same? Are you being too radical with your light so it's not looking like the same shoot? Like your technical settings and like low ISO? Like, are you shooting ISO 3200 and wide open? Like, what are you doing? Like, these kinds of things, like, where people are so into like the idea that they forget about the technical. Like, you have to be so strong on the technical that you can literally do it with your eyes closed. Like, I can do this stuff in my sleep, like lighting, like technical understanding, camera understanding, like this kind. And when you're in it, like when you're in the game, when it's the NBA finals, like when you're in it and there's thousands of people screaming, like, are you shooting free throws just like you're at home shooting in your driveway? Or are you like the pressure causing you to crack? Like, you understand how many photographers who I know are super capable photographers, like really talented, but when they're on a job, they fold. They forget the most basic stuff. The most basics, like that comes from my perspective, a lack of preparation and all the stuff that I'm going through right now with you. Like I've already done the shoot in my head when I'm at the point when I'm executing photographs. Like, it's already happened in my head. I'm just going through the motions on shoot day. All right. So the technical prep, you got to be insane about. And like, this is specific venue logistics. Like, there's so many different variables that could happen with the venue. Like, I've talked about permits, but what about parking? What about people's cars getting towed? What about accessibility for that lady who you're shooting who's in a wheelchair or has a hard time with stairs? What about power supply? Like, can the power handle your strobe lights going all day long? Like, you have to do venue logistics to make sure that everything's ready to go. If you're renting a new studio, like, make sure that studio has stands because you planned to not bring any. Make sure that the environment is conducive to a smooth shoot. And venue logistics, you can really take care of a lot of it in your call sheet. Calligraphy. Cimarock has a question. Is selling courses and live streaming an end game for photography? I don't know what you're asking me, my friend. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. So have you been doing it for 30 years? Like, when you have something to share that brings value to people, people might want to buy it. There's a reason that there's all these people watching me. And it's not like, I'm not doing this to peddle courses. Like, Seema, I'm not going to let you disrupt me. But again, those who don't do or can't do hate. And that's okay. So, health and safety measures. Like, seems strange, but you have to be safe with these shoots. Like, you have to have insurance. You have to have protection for the people who are around you. Planning for health and safety. Having a first aid kit. That girl cut her finger. That makeup artist needs water. She's passing out. Emergency exit. Oh my God, there's a fire. All this kind of stuff. Like, make sure that you're like responsible for everybody on set. Make sure that you're responsible for everybody's well-being, and especially on larger shoots, especially if you're on location, be prepared for any situation. And understand, it's like you have to be able to handle an emergency calm and effectively, which is again the call sheet and why I made that available. Because it's like, I don't think that enough people know about, oh my God, who do I call in case something happens to the model? Like, that's major. So safety, be safe, and don't be trespassing and trying to bring a bunch of people underneath this fence and past this barbed wire and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is okay if you're running and gunning and it's just you maybe and one other person, but understand, like, for a photo, like, don't put anybody's safety in jeopardy for a photo. I think that it's not really worth it. It really isn't. Okay. So mindset. This is the part where your mindset before shoots is something that you really have to get into the game. Mindset's your secret sauce. Like, getting into the right mindset is key. Like, looking back at the mood board, looking at inspirational images, making sure that my headspace is right. I make sure that I'm well rested. Like, I need to be creative and responsive on set, you know, and I need to be ready to really flow with ideas. I need to be there for my client, and I need to move with clarity, enthusiasm, and momentum. And that all comes from mindset, you know? And I think that mindset is the secret sauce to our creativity, you know? And also our attitude. And it's funny, like, the attitude. So many photographers are entitled, man. So many people think that they deserve something. You know, they feel like they deserve something. Like, is that the future for photographers? Like, bro, been doing this since longer than you've been born, man, honestly. And you don't need to watch me, by the way. You don't need to watch me. If I'm not giving you any value, if you think this is the future, if you're not getting any value, just click away. It's super easy. But don't try to derail what I'm doing by, like, bro, yeah. Calligraphy, by the way, don't point out a question to me if it's just nonsense. Client preferences. Like, we're in the business of serving clients. You know what I mean? Like, we're literally, that's what we're doing, is we're in the business of serving clients. And if we don't understand what our clients' preferences are, their likes, their desires, and their needs, we're doing this just for us instead of for them. And this is a client-based business. Like, we work for a client, but we have to have our own sensibility, our own visual style, and all that stuff. But you can't skip the step of, like, what the client likes. Like, so I share these mood boards, and I get what they like and what they grab. Oh my God, I love that. I love this. And it's like, amazing. Now I know the location for that. And I know exactly, like, I can do something that I'm inspired by that I know the client's going to like. And I make notes on my clients. You know what I mean? Like, the references that they send me. It's like, oh my God, this girl really wants to be shot in the studio. Or this girl wants to look younger, or she wants to look like a model. Like, you can see just by the references that the clients send to you. So understanding what your client's preferences are, make it so you have repeat business, like, honestly. And number 22 is a backup plan. A backup plan, you have to be adaptable, right? Like, if you can't, I can't spell right now. Adaptability. You have to have a backup plan. You know, honestly, if you're not thinking about what your plan B is, like if something unforeseen happens, like bad weather, an idea fails, like sometime a client's idea is going to be, I see so many people shooting whack client ideas. Like, if your client's idea is whack or impossible to execute, say that's impossible to execute, or I don't really think that that's very modern. You know, like, and then show them an alternative idea that they might like better, you know? But if you don't have your own ideas and your own vision, and you're just ending up being a camera for somebody else. Like, I can't take these pictures of myself, so you take them. I'm just going to tell you what to do. Like, don't be that kind of a photographer. That's just being, like, you know, a bad mirror. So, have a backup plan and understand that, like, you have to adapt so the shoot can continue no matter what. Have an alternative location. Have a location in case it rains. Have like a location in case it gets cloudy when you're envisioning it being sunny, and have a rescheduling plan if necessary. So if you're shooting on location, have a rain day. If it rains on this day, we're shooting on this day. It's about being flexible and being prepared for everything. This is another thing. And it's like, I don't know at the level you're at with your sessions, but I feed people when I am working. Like, people eat. Like, if I'm doing a day, there's food. Like, we stop and I feed everybody. Like, there's no such thing as a full day shoot where people aren't getting like muffins and like coffee and tea and stuff like that in the studio in the beginning of the day, and then a break for lunch, and then like snacks and stuff like that, like fruit for people to like munch on. Like, I have water available, soft drinks, always, for myself, for my team, for the staff, like everybody who's working. Like, you're trying to maintain like a certain peak performance. Nikki Lynn, you gave me $2.99. I mean, you gave me $2 and I didn't acknowledge it. Nikki, thank you. I appreciate you, Nikki Lynn, for giving me $2 of your hard-earned money. Appreciate you. Thank you for your donation. And I'm not sure why I didn't get an alert, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to feature your love. I'm going to feature your love, your first super chat on screen. I don't know why it's not. Oh, there you go. Your first super chat right there, Nikki Lynn, getting the love. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Nikki. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And by the way, you'll notice like lots of glitches and stuff like that that happens in mental math and all that stuff. This is all controlled by my viewers, these people who watch me at home. They watch me and they actually memorize my commands. The people who are members can like hack my stream and do all kinds of fun stuff. So I try, thank you, by the way, Nikki, I appreciate you. I try to keep everybody fed, fueled, and hydrated. Every single shoot. It doesn't matter what I'm shooting, how big or small. Like, photo shoots and being creative is physically demanding. And in order for people to not faint, which has happened, people have fainted on my shoot. Nikki Lynn now giving me $4.99. You're killing me right now, girl. You're hilarious. Nikki, you're so funny. Thank you, girl. You're so funny. Thank you. My God, you're going to make my listen, if the fire alarm goes off, because I don't know if the fire alarm recognizes this mist as mist and not smoke, because it has gone off once. Nikki, thank you. You're so funny and so sweet. Thank you, girl. So understand that feeding your people, making a time breaking for lunch. If you're shooting more than 3 hours, you got to feed people. Like 4 hours, half day, you got to feed people. Even if it's just breakfast, some muffins and stuff like that, coffee, like do that. Get in the habit of like taking care of your people, like having like a great vibe, great music, great energy on your sets. And it goes like a long way. So hydrate your people. 24 is legal stuff. Legal details are non-negotiable. Legal stuff. Let's talk legal stuff. Like, you have to have the legals. We're talking contracts, model releases, or any other document that might be needed, NDAs signed, which protects both me and the client, eh? This is why I do it. Lloyd Simmons, everybody's putting down some hard-earned money. Lloyd Simmons with the super chat. Thank you, Lloyd Simmons. I got that alert, my guy. Thank you, Nikki and Lloyd, for your insane generosity. My dog is like, what's going on with the smoke, dude? He's looking around. He doesn't know what's happening right now. But thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate you. You guys can actually hit likes on the super chats, by the way. Thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate your love. So, legal stuff, contracts, model releases, anything that you need to have signed beforehand, any agreements, deposits. I also fall under legalities. Like, I do 50% up, 50% down, meaning before you book me, you give me 50%. That holds the date and then shoot day, that's the rest down. You get the rest. I get paid the rest on shoot day, and then I give you the shots the next day. But you pay me shoot day because that's the deliverable. That's me shooting. And then it's not like I'm running away with your photos. You get the photos the next day. You know how to find me. And then, and I put that in the contract. So it's all like, and it depends on who you're working for. If you're working for bigger companies, they sometimes take 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90 days to pay. Sometimes that happens, which with it's a bigger company, bigger money, you have to give people time to pay. But if you have lots of expenses that you have to use or buy before your session, you can get a deposit, which I do all the time. Like if I'm doing a job that's $50,000, I'll get $5, $6, $8, $10,000 deposit. I mean, I usually big jobs like that, I get more money deposit, but this particular client, like I let them give me like stages, like $50,000 job. I let them pay over the course of like some months. So, you know, it's hard for any agency to just throw down $50,000 out of their account. So, and then the last thing, number 25 is post workflow. And again, this is something that's like really nice to have set up beforehand. Like planning the post-shoot workflow, that's a nice extra final touch. Like what that does, like you're now scheduling time for backing up your images, obviously right after the shoot. You're scheduling time for editing. You're scheduling time for client review. It makes it so there's a smooth process between the shooting and the timely delivery of super high quality results. June. Okay, guys, stop giving me money. Seriously, we're just having fun here. I'm giving you information. If you're feeling like this is bringing you benefit, thank you. But you are under no obligation to to donate. No, June, you just wanted to see more smoke. I appreciate that. June's like, let's see if we can actually make the fire alarm go off. June, thank you for your $5 donation. I appreciate you. You're under no obligation to donate a super chat or anything like that. Just watch my content. If it helps you, share it. Tell a friend. Honestly, I appreciate it truly. But yeah, I appreciate that. Become a member if you're not already, June. Post-shoot workflow. Like you can see when they're getting the shots, when they're going to be delivered, how long it takes for post, how much it costs for post, like all of that stuff. Like talk about all this before. Talk about all of this stuff before. Talk about every single one of these things before on this list. And just to like give you the scroll of this list, it goes like this. Do consultations, make mood boards, find references, location scout, check the weather, get the right permits and permission, do equipment checks. What about your backup gear? Do test shots, create a lighting plan. What about wardrobe, props, prep your talent, create a shot list. What about poses, directions, directing the model? What about visual references? What's the timeline of the photo shoot? What about your communication, the technical prep? What about the venue logistics? What about safety of this particular location? Your mindset before the shoot, client service. Like, what is their like, what is their desire, and what is their need? And your backup plan. What happens if something goes wrong? What's your adaptability plan? What are you feeding these people? What are they drinking? And legal stuff. And also the post-production workflow. 25 things that I go through and go over before every photo shoot. I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you guys might have that aren't about professional photographers live streaming and yeah. Anyways, dude. I actually, funny enough, to build this business, I took some time off after a massive gig that like gave me the freedom so I could actually do this. But again, yeah, I don't like those kinds of questions. Do I refer to my clients that all photos are my copyright and on my contract? Of course, man. That's all part of like, I mean, Stefanos is asking, do I refer my clients or like remind them it's in the contract that all photos are mine, that the copyright is mine. They are only borrowing them. They're just borrowing them. They're paying me for the service of creating this photo, these photos, this set. The photos that they're getting are mine. They can use them, but they can use them specifically and for specific things. And they can't just sell them. They can't put them like on t-shirts and post like, it's very specific what you're allowed to do with them. And again, it's personal use versus business use. If it's a business use, it's a contract. And guess what? The photos still belong to me. The contract, the copyright still is mine. Even if the company is doing a buyout where they're buying out the licensing of or they're paying for the use of these images indefinitely, you still own them. And you're always allowed to use them for your portfolio. Like that's a given, but it's also it should also be in your contract. Yeah, so that's the vibe. Like just build it in, is that the same as whitelisting? Like, yeah, it's just not called whitelisting, Nikki, because like whitelisting is like when you're shooting a product that like doesn't have a label, and it's like then another company like puts their label. Like whitelisting it's different than usage. Usage is like you're allowed to use these photos. We're on contract. You're on contract with that person. You know what I mean? You're on contract with that person. So yeah, they're whitelisted. I guess it's one way to put it, but don't think of it that way. Think of it like that's just one of the many people who are licensing my images indefinitely. So it just becomes usage fees. And if you're smart, you don't license your images indefinitely. And if you do, charge ridiculous amounts of money. Like ridiculous amounts of money. I license my images for 1, 2, 3, or 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes if they want buyout, it's called a buyout where you have it indefinitely and they can use it anywhere. That's a lot of money per image. So just watch the wording. Last question, guys, before I dip out. I got so much to do tonight. Stephen C, reminder about Thursday.
Question?
Thank you, Stephen C. I appreciate that. Guys, Thursday, you have an assignment right now. You have an assignment. What's the assignment that I gave you this week? Irregardless as to what, Discord's not open. Whatever the assignment is, Stephen C will tell you. Whatever the assignment is this week, I can't do my show on Thursday because I have a shoot. I cannot. And also, yes, Stefanos, you can put in your contract that if they share your pictures on social media, they're not allowed to use any filters. That's what I say. Like, I mean, I don't have that in contract, but I would put that in contract. Like, if you're sharing my work, no filters, no extra anything to my photographs, please. Like, yes, because people butcher your photographs by adding stupid filters on Instagram. So yes, please. I also have that in my contract. But back to the initial thing that I was talking about. Yes, Thursday I cannot do because I have a job. And much as I'm not an event photographer, I do work for the Toronto District School Board. I do tons of work for them, and they pay me very well. And they asked me to shoot an event, and I'm like, no, I don't do that. But I will do this. I said I will shoot portraits at your event. Frame me as that photographer. I'll shoot portraits at your event. And it just happens to be at an exact time when I do my podcast on Thursday. I said I'd do it. I'm not sure if I'm going to live stream from there. Maybe a little members only special live stream. I'm not sure. It all depends on what the venue looks like, what the lights like, and all that stuff. It's all situational. But what's mostly going to happen is you'll end up getting to see some behind the scenes footage, maybe a little bit of behind the scenes snaps, and I'll tell you all about it. But that's Thursday. So what I'm going to do is the photo review show on Friday. I'll do the photo review show Friday. I'll probably start early because, again, these shows sometimes go 3 hours. I don't want to spend my whole Friday night doing this, and I'm not canceling the show because it just makes more work for me next week. You understand? So I'm just doing it. So we're just doing it. I could have did it Wednesday, but that's going to give you less time to submit. So I'm going to do it Friday. So I hope that, ding. All right. I glitched. Guys, I hope today brought you value. The assignment is something profound, but I don't remember what it is because there's so many things that we got going on. Guys, I hope today brought you value. Keep in mind, becoming a member is how this channel keeps going. It's how I'm able to do a commercial-free stream. It's how you're not able to see any YouTube ads during these live streams, is because I turned on memberships, and I have people who support my show by watching my content and by joining and becoming a member. If you want your photos reviewed, you have to become a member at the photo review level. Join my Discord. It is the largest growing photography community of emerging photographers on the internet, according to no stats, only according to me. And also my pro group starts in June. Woo woo! So if you filled out the pro group application, I'm very excited about that. I will be getting back to you later on in the week. It starts next week. Still painting. I got one more room to paint. We're almost there. This place is almost finished. Almost ready to give you guys a full tour. Guys, thank you. I hope today brought you value. Commercial-free streams. Thank you to the people with the crowns next to your name. If you got a crown next to your name, that means you're a member, and I thank you for doing that. Make sure you join the Discord. That is the place that everybody goes to directly after the show. They live there, I swear. I have over 871. Wow, 871 people in the Discord right now. Let's go. I'm on the road to 20,000 subscribers here on this channel. We are at 18.5. If this content brought you any value, please consider subscribing. You know subscribing is free. And also, for the regulars, hit the like button. Let's push this out. Let's see if we can get at least 100 likes on this video. Hey, Mark Fox, thanks for tuning in, my guy. I gifted you a membership the other day. Good to see you. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, by the way, if you became a member recently, you're going to see your name scroll across the top of the screen, just like you do right there, Mark Fox. And everybody else, the last 25 who became members here on this channel, you're going to see your name scrolling. And the new believers, the new subscribers that have just found the Carty Party. Are you guys, the last 25 of you are scrolling across the bottom. I hope this brought you value. There are thousands of hours of pro photography content on this channel. I am obsessed about helping you, the struggling or emerging professional photographer, make it to your next level using mindset shifts and immersive education here on YouTube. I love you a lot.